Ben Troop, the former Florida Gator, All-American, and, of course, the longtime National Football League player with Dave Smith here at SB Nation Radio. Well, there's another 5. Producer Jack, hear that?
That's $10 just this weekend, Dave. One more, and then we can have a whole meal at Outback Steakhouse.
And if I say Washington Redskins, we're up to 15. So every time I say SB Nation instead of Sports Map Radio, and every time I say Redskins instead of Washington Football Team, it's 5 in the jar, right? What are we up to now?
So I'll start making an official count. The official count for SB Nation is $10. You haven't said Redskins when referring to the Washington Football Team. So far so good. You're good on that.
So one last night, one tonight. We're up to $10, huh? 10 and counting. Sports Map Radio Network. It's the Dave Smith Show.
This is the Dave Smith Show on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Dave Smith.
Don't let a bad battery leave you stranded. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery free of charge. If it needs to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact battery for your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. Keep your car on the road by getting your battery tested for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Now out to the Progressive Insurance guest line. Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and your car insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Progressive, proud to honor our veterans by donating cars to move their lives forward, especially in times of need. Learn more about their Keys to Progress program and plans for 2020 at keystoprogress.com. And here he is, the great actor, the great speaker, the great NBA savant. It is Bill Horrenda. What's up, Bill?
Dave, we have an NBA champion. The bubble was a success. And listen, we've talked about this so frequently. Now, again, only 2 NBA champions since 2000 outside of the top 10 in defensive rating. If you're serious about winning, you got to be about defense. And the Lakers have proven that yet again.
Boy, I mean, you talk about a historic closeout, 2 games for LeBron here. 15 for 21, then 13 for 20, but 28 for 41 the last 2 games, and he had a 40-point, 13 rebound game, I think, in Game 5. And tonight he gets a 28, 14, and 10 triple-double to close the series out.
Prodigious production, and we were really treated that he and also Jimmy Butler going toe-to-toe, particularly in Game 5, Dave. And as you know, in crunch time, a 3 could have won it, but there were only 2 3-point field goals attempted in the final 2 minutes of that game. So what we saw was old-school basketball, getting to the free throw line, getting to the rim, excellent mid-range play under duress against tenacious defense that was looking to either, one, secure a championship or live another day. And LeBron really just amazing, taking his game to the next level. And I think the Heat, including Butler, and really systemically throughout the roster, just exhausted tonight. And the Lakers, again, just a tremendous story, a great effort. And it takes talent, as you know, Dave, great talent in this league to win, along with chemistry and accountability. And the Lakers certainly have that throughout their roster. But they've got LeBron James and Anthony Davis, too.
You know, Bill, we had Rick Barry on the show in the first hour, and he almost blew a gasket. I thought he might have a heart attack when he was talking about Game 5, when LeBron James has 15 for 21 from the floor and scores 40 points. He draws a triple team. He makes the right basketball play to Danny Green, who misses, and LeBron's getting criticized for not taking the last shot. When there's a guy, didn't Danny Green set the NBA record for 3-point shots made in that series against Miami when he played for San Antonio, and he makes $15 million a year, and he's standing there all by himself in LeBron's triple team? Of course LeBron made the right play there.
The success has 1,000 fathers, and failure is an orphan. It's uncanny. I mean, people are just going to criticize. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But come on, it's ridiculous. And for Danny Green, of course, it's reprehensible that there would be threats on his life. I mean, it's just absurd.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. Oh.
Yeah, so evidently, according to reports, absurdity. But, yes, it was certainly the right play. We saw Michael Jordan make it with Steve Kerr and John Paxson. We see people at every schoolyard missing the right play, Dave Smith. We don't miss it. We're not critical of that. But like anything else, you've just got to, take it with a grain of salt and turn the page and move on.
See, the difference between Danny Green and a guy like me, Bill Horrenda, I would have knocked that shot down in that pressure situation. I would have never missed that.
Well, you know what, Dave? Like the Lakers after the third quarter, like the Lakers when LeBron and AD combined for 60-plus, even though they lost Game 5 when that happened, they're nearly in Super Bowl. And we know you're in Super Bowl from downtown. You're a conundrum to guard. If I make you a driver, you're going to blow by me. If I go under a pick and roll, you're going to drain those threes. I don't know how to defend you.
Yeah, that's it. If you back off me, I'll knock threes down all day. If you press me tight, I'll go down the lane and dunk on people. So it's just, what do you do? Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Dave, when I was coaching, I would get my players at the first media break, and I would go 1 through 5, and I'd say, okay, tell me what cologne the guy you're guarding is wearing, okay? And if you can't tell me that, I got 5 guys here who are ready to go to get out there, whether it was Jacquard Noir or Paco Rabanne, or the Johnny Depp cologne. That's the thing, man. You've got to be able to Sauvage. You've got to be able to tell me what cologne they're wearing. And if somebody's guarding you, they better know that or you're going to make them look bad.
I remember one time I was playing in a game years ago against Kenny Lofton. Remember Kenny Lofton back in the day? He was a starting guard at Arizona. Then he went along. Then he had a long, I think, 20-year career playing Major League Baseball.
Sure.
So we're playing them in high school, and he's knocking down. I'm right in his face, and he's knocking down one shot after another. And the coach is yelling at me and kicking chairs over and cursing me. And I said, "You want to come out here and try it?" There's not much. He's jumping over the top of me and making shots. What do you want me to do?
Dave, I played against Raphael Addison in high school and David Rivers, then in college against guys like Mario Elie. I had Elie on the radio once, and I told him that we played against each other in the New England Collegiate Conference. I said, "You killed me that night." He said, "I killed everybody in that league." So we've all been there, my friend.
Did he remember you?
Oh, of course, Dave. My prowess, my vocabulary, my oratory skills on the floor, talking trash. I don't think he'd remember me if he tripped over me.
It's an interesting story. But when Frank Vogel was like the Lakers' 5th choice to take over as coach this year, and he wound up doing a really good job.
A tremendous job. For this team to congeal the way they have and to put we over me and to sacrifice, think about it, 3rd in defensive rating, top 10 in field goal percentage against, 3-point field goal percentage against, 2-point field goal percentage against, which no one talks about, total rebounding, also steals, as well as number 1 in blocks, and also the magnanimous 10th in assists.
Hey, Bill, can you hang on? We're against the break. Can you hang on, Bill?
Of course. My pleasure.
Another segment with the great Bill Horrenda coming up with Dave Smith here at SportsMap Radio and SportsMapRadio.com.
You're listening to The Dave Smith Show on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Dave Smith.
Today's show brought to you by The Athletic, sports coverage that helps fans see the game from every angle, featuring national writers and podcasters you know and love, like Robert Mays, Andy Staples, David Aldridge, Lindsey Jones, Jason Stark, and Craig Custance. The Athletic provides coverage you can trust on every story that matters. Get breaking news and in-depth stories on every team you follow in an ad-free reading experience. Subscribe today for $1 a month at theathletic.com/radio1. That's the number 1. Once again, that's theathletic.com/radio1. Dave Smith and the Dave Smith Show here at SportsMap Radio and SportsMapRadio.com. The Seahawks are up now. What, at 21-19? Is that the score, Producer Jack?
That is correct,
quarter?
Dave.
Yes, boy, they were down, 10-0 early, and they were doing a great job controlling Russell Wilson. But, this was bound to happen, right, Producer Jack? Russell was going to make plays. Now it's 21-19. And how are your Houston Astros doing?
We are down right now 2-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays. It looks like they just got out of that inning when the Rays had 2 runners on. So the game's not over. I think we're going into the 8th inning, though.
Quote, buy and save on home insurance with Progressive's new Home Quote Explorer, only at Progressive.com. Let's get back out to the Progressive guest line of the great Bill Horrenda, kind enough to hang in there for another segment. Bill, thanks for hanging in there with us.
Well, of course, Dave. My pleasure.
You look at this Lakers team, the way it's constructed. LeBron's going to be 36 next year, but he looks not only as good as ever, he looks better than ever, which is remarkable in the fact that he's in his 17th season in the NBA. AD is in his prime. They're always going to keep a good supporting cast around those two, I would imagine, filling in role players. How long do you think they can keep this thing going?
Yeah, David, it's a great question, and for the foreseeable future, you would think that the Lakers will be formidable and a worthy team to defend their title. You're right. I mean, LeBron, no one, in my opinion, absorbs contact and is svelte and sinewy as he is at this level for so long. And he really doesn't show signs of slowing down. And he mentioned post-game, right, that he's never missed a playoff game. So if you can say that he will remain healthy, the Lakers certainly will be, in the mix. And I agree with you that they'll always have the supporting cast. It was a terrific move tonight to start Caruso. The Dwight Howard acquisition proved to be a real boon for L.A. And remember, it was, the offseason where the front office pointed they were getting criticized, and Jeannie Buss and Rondo was terrific. They just seem to have the right players in the right places. And it's like, Doug Collins, know your role, stay in your role, star in your role. And guys did that for L.A., and at the end of the day, they get the championship.
How long can LeBron play at this elite level? I mean, he's Superman. I mean, his body's in better condition than it's ever been. He's still a great leaper. He still has that quick twitch muscles. He still dominates out there after 17 years. And wow, he's hardly ever hurt. He's amazing. How long? 35, 36. You think he's got at least 2 or 3 good prime years left in him?
I would say so, Dave. Now, listen, I'm not going to go off the deep end here. How old is Tom Brady? He's still playing.
Yeah. But
I think, listen, I think what we've got here is, just an unbelievable athlete. And also, he's so intelligent, Dave, as you know, and he understands the game, leading the league in assists. He devours the scouting reports, and more importantly, he incorporates it on the floor. And that's obviously one of Rondo's strengths and specialties, right? His mind is amazing. And I think what you've got here is the ability to prepare mentally and take care of your body and make the sacrifices and be ready to play. So certainly I think he can play another couple of years. And you know what, Dave, this is reminiscent of, and I always take times like this to kind of take a step back and reflect, the professor, Sylvia Duckworth, her iceberg illusion. People tune in, and all they see is the tip of the iceberg, the success, but they don't necessarily see the persistence, the sacrifice, the failure, the dedication, the hard work, the discipline, the disappointment. And again, that's what it takes on and off the floor, in season, off season, to be successful, and no one's more dedicated to that than LeBron James, body, mind, and soul.
I was thinking about my all-time NBA team the other day, Bill. I wonder what yours would be. I've got LeBron and Larry Bird at the 2 forwards, Magic and Jordan in the backcourt. Now, center's a tough one. You got Kareem and Wilt and Bill Russell and maybe Akeem. I'm going Wilt, but Kareem, that's fine with me as well. So I got Wilt, Bird, LeBron, Magic, and Jordan. What would your team be?
Wow. You know what, Dave? I have not really thought about that. I mean, that's an amazing starting five that you have there. I don't know. I would probably go LeBron, Jordan, Bird, Kareem. I don't know. You throw any two. You throw me and you in with those guys.
Magic?
There's Magic is another one, of course. I'm also, New York guys are special to me. Yep. I mean, Walt, Clyde Frazier,
yes.
Bernard King. But I haven't really thought about it. But it's so difficult, I think, to answer questions like that because there's just been so many great players, just oodles of talent, right? We didn't even mention Bill Russell. And it's tough to compare and contrast eras as well. But throughout the history of the game, there's just been so many great players. I always struggle with questions like that.
Now, Bill, now that the finals are over, are we going to start seeing coaching positions getting filled, like in Indiana and Houston and New Orleans? And what else is open? I'm forgetting a couple. Oklahoma City. You think we're going to start seeing those getting filled?
Oh, I think so, Dave. Yeah, no question about it. And, again, there are people out there, like Ty Lue, like Jason Kidd, Sam Cassell, Udoka, who was on the staff in Philadelphia, Darvin Ham, Adrian Griffin. We've heard so much about Wes Unseld Jr. on Michael Malone's staff in Denver, who Malone says, of course, he's an NBA lifer via his dad, the late Wes Unseld, and a guy who's not a self-promoter, right? So it'll be interesting to see if the appetite is there to pay big dollars for guys, because there may not be. But there are many qualified candidates, and it just depends upon, the alignment of ownership, management, candidate. And, of course, guys are hungry. There are only 30 jobs and a handful of them open. But, yeah, certainly I think what we'll see now is, and it's been going on already, as there have been 28 teams here on the sidelines for a little bit. But, yes, these jobs will certainly be filled, and teams are going to be working on getting better and improving. There are only 4 ways to do it: the draft, free agency, trades, and skill development.
You know, when I look at this New Orleans roster, Bill Herenda, they've got an all-star in Drew Holiday. They have an all-star this year, a blossoming star, 25-point-a-game scorer in Brandon Ingram. If you keep Zion healthy, Zion can be a superstar, maybe the best player in the league one day in the future in the NBA. I think the key to that, well, outside of keeping Zion healthy, I think the key to that whole franchise is somehow turning Lonzo Ball into an all-star, and having him blossom into a better point guard. Which is why I would give Mike D'Antoni a serious look if I were New Orleans, because his history, Steve Nash, James Harden, Jeremy Lin, Raymond Felton, Chris Duhon, they all played by far the best basketball of their careers, and he's great at developing point guards. If I own the Pelicans, I'd really want to have him working with Lonzo here as my next coach.
Yeah, I could see that, David. And, that's a very malleable roster to his style of play, right, where you're going to attack the rim and you're going to shoot threes. And, it just depends on David Griffin and what his vision is for this core group of talent and moving forward with the coaching staff. And, there are guys out there like Jeff Van Gundy, Mark Jackson, Kenny Atkinson, Dave Yeager, a lot of good coaches out there. But I agree. I could see D'Antoni being a good fit there. And this is where it really, the NBA, as you know, Dave, is so competitive, right? Just a minute ago, we're talking about the Lakers and maintaining their status. And listen, there are teams out there that are just, the West is absolutely stacked with talent. And not to mention the East as well. With Miami, we saw their young talent in action going all the way to the NBA Finals, pushing the Lakers to 6 games. So, but I do like D'Antoni in New Orleans. I think that could be a good fit.
Ty Lue to the Clippers, you think that's the choice, or maybe someone else sneaks in? The Clippers, they are dangling in dangerous territory right now, Bill Herenda, because not only did they blow that 3-1 lead, Doc Rivers gets fired, but after next year, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can both opt out and leave. So this could be a disaster. They've got to make the right coaching hire here.
Yeah, they really do. And the timing of it, Dave, it seemed to me like, okay, well, let's retain Ty Lue or Sam Cassell before they leave for greener pastures. And we know it's difficult for an existing assistant to get a job when the guy gets whacked. But, who knows? The chemistry issues there were shaky and what have you. But maybe they did want to retain Lue or Cassell. But also you've got to think that, is it a Jeff Van Gundy deal that Lawrence Frank and Steve Ballmer are inclined to? Is it a more experienced guy? Ty Lue's won a championship. Cassell's never been a head coach. But it'll be very interesting because you're right. This decision for them is critical to making this thing right. And on the horizon, you're right, the ability for aforementioned Kawhi Leonard.
Well, Kawhi's going to have to sign off.
To walk away.
Kawhi's going to have to sign off on this, don't you think? They're going to have to get his approval.
Certainly, I would think so, David. No question that that you want the buy-in from the roster. Not that they're going to necessarily dictate who you hire, but you want to have some dialogue here and make sure that the talent and the minds are on the same wavelength. So they cannot afford some type of surprise scenario. You want to see everyone smiling and winning at the press conference, at least virtually, under the current scenario.
Well, Bill, nobody saw that Steve Nash thing coming to the Brooklyn Nets. Is there somebody out there laying in the weeds like Nash, somebody we're not even talking about, somebody like him, or maybe a college coach that grabs one of these jobs?
You know what, Dave? You nailed it. I mean, that Nash thing was, out of the blue, so you just never know. You just never know. I mean, will John Calipari ever be lured from Kentucky? Will he ever want another shot in the NBA? You hear, Phil Jackson's name, right, being thrown about. I think you had mentioned that, right, recently. So, listen, if there's one thing I know, it's that there are many, many blind spots that I have. And what we see, and certainly what I see, is never all there is. So, yes, certainly we could be surprised. We could be.
What about a guy like Jay Wright? He's about at that age right now where he's going to have to make a decision if he ever wants to try the NBA. You think maybe he wants to challenge himself on the next level at some point?
Yeah, you know what? When the Philly job opened, my phone was blowing up. It looked like that was the natural progression, and then he was very swift to say he wasn't interested in it. So never say never, but the fact that he wouldn't have to call his realtor and coach the Sixers, would he want to come to L.A.? Who knows? You can get those cheesesteaks shipped out here, can't you? So from that standpoint, maybe he gives the beautiful California climate a shot. You never know, but he should be on their list and on anyone's list in the NBA for sure.
That's funny, staying home. I had Tom Montgomery on the show. You remember he was the coach at Stanford, then he was the coach of the Warriors for a while, then he was the coach at Cal after that. And
right, yes, of course, yeah.
He said the greatest thing. He said, I had 2 major Division I jobs and an NBA job, and I never had to leave my house. I never had to sell it. All in the same area.
Good for him. Not many people can say that, Dave. That's for sure. Good for him.
So Indiana seems to be cooling on D'Antoni lately here. So what do you? They're actually talking about maybe a Chauncey Billups, maybe a surprise hire there.
Right, Dave. And there, that's a very attractive job. And they have a culture of winning. They play hard, they play smart. You've got a good roster there. Of course, we saw T.J. Warren emerge. Sabonis, unfortunately, was hurt. Oladipo's come off of injury. I know there was some dicey times with him coming off the injury. But that's a roster where you can win. And also the way they play is quite different than a D'Antoni style. Their top 10 in defensive rating, they were 619 in offensive rating. And in pace, bottom